Hey everyone, Paulie here with HardDrive Radio. I'm delighted to be sitting down in the studio today with Theory of a Deadman. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming to see us today.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, man, thanks for having us.
Very excited about the brand new album coming out in just a short little while now. It's Say Nothing. You guys have been living with this work for a time now, but now we get to kind of hear it. So what songs are you most excited for people to hear off of this new one?
Man, I think the whole thing. We actually built the record kind of like where people don't even do it anymore, where it's like track 1 to 10 is built kind of almost like a story, and we actually have interludes, between songs, and we actually built it, the track listing, like where we'd actually put it a certain way and then go sit down and listen to it from front to back to see if it worked, and then we'd switch a couple songs around. So we've never done that before, or really spent the time. So yeah, I'm excited for people to hear 1 to 10.
I have some faves though.
No, but I already said like 1.
Sorry, so we'll cut out the contradiction there.
Yeah,
no one's allowed to dissent. No, Dave, tell me what is your favorite track on the
I'm pretty excited about a song called "World Keeps Spinning." It's just one of those songs that as soon as I heard it, I just was like, this song's got something. There's something about this song. I think lyrically, it's like really relatable. It's kind of about anxiety and depression, and I don't know. I think it's something that people are really going to get.
Did that song start with like a riff? Did it start with the lyrics? How did it come about?
It started with, I think it was the chorus. I can't remember, but it was definitely lyrics. And then I think the piano thing was probably some hook that I looped or something. But yeah.
Well, you guys, you performed it here today as an acoustic version for us. It was my first time hearing the song, and I loved it immediately. So I hope that everybody, as soon as they hear the song, they're going to be grabbed by it the same way.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
One of the other songs that you guys recently released for everyone to hear is a song called Strangers. Can you give us a quick summary of that one and what went into it?
Ooh, that one is, so that was the first one that was written for this record, and it really talks about the polarized politics in America, and how you can't actually escape any of that, and it's actually become so apparent that your neighbor may be actually your enemy because if they vote a certain way, which is ridiculous. So that one really is quite 2020. I think people will hear that and go, yeah, this really makes sense. So once we got that one finished, then it was easier to get into all the other topics.
And I think, looking at the trend that's going here with Strangers and with History of Violence, it seems like you guys are really not shying away from like these hard topics on this album. Was that the goal?
Yeah, once we got rolling, I think so. I think we discussed like with RX on the last record, that really opened the door. I think once we saw the reaction, not just with the song doing so well, but also the feedback with how it was affecting people that were addicted to drugs, that came back and said, man, thank you for the song or whatever. It was easier to get in there.
It becomes infectious almost. You want to start talking about stuff that people say is hard to talk about because you realize it actually is helping people. And it's almost like this is the day and age where, everybody's talking about getting things out, talking about things, don't leave it unsaid. So
removes a bit of a stigma too, and it almost creates a community where people can relate to other people that are struggling with the same problems too. People can talk about it and know there's other people that are having the same issues.
Yeah, it's interesting because we forget that being in a band, we just write songs and then the people like it and we're like, cool, let's go make another one. But really, all of a sudden you figure out that we have a voice and we're actually speaking for people that don't. So it's like, wait a minute here, we can actually. So we feel like we've kind of matured in that sense, where we feel like, you know what, let's figure this out. We can help some people here.
Is it like maybe a feeling of responsibility since you have that platform to kind of help elevate it? Because personally, I would be really nervous about writing about serious things. I'm not a songwriter, so I guess it doesn't matter. But for you guys, was there any kind of trepidation, like maybe we shouldn't do this, or was it just?
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's you're definitely afraid, and you have to almost be strategic. Because you do worry. Like even when we had a visualizer for Strangers, the person that made it, who I can't remember his name, but he's really good. And even Dean immediately pointed out some stuff where it was like, it would show like the president or something, but he was all red. And Dean's like, well, because it was just a lot of the visual is all red and blue, right? And so we are like, let's be very careful here. We're not trying to.
Yeah, we don't want to alienate anyone.
That's right.
Yeah, make everybody inclusive.
That's right.
Let's talk about the artwork for a bit, because one of the things I love about the cover art for the album is kind of like, this dark mirror image of the previous album. I assuming that's intentional?
That was Dean's idea.
Yeah, I think, and some of the topics are a little bit darker, so I think the tone of the record is a bit darker. So to represent it, I think with the cover is darker. And there's a lyric in Strangers where it mentions the upside down.
Right.
So flipping the palm trees upside down kind of, points to that song.
Did you guys maybe kind of set this out to be a companion album to the previous one, or is it just kind of evolved that way?
I think it evolved, but I think it is, in a sense. It's almost a continuation, but it could be a companion. It could be like a mirror image or
It totally felt when we started recording this record that we picked up exactly where we left off in the studio with Martin. And I mean, where it took 2 weeks to really get rolling when we made Wake Up Call through the feel-out process and just starting to understand, we're making a record the way we'd never made it. This one, it was like day one we were tracking and getting stuff down and making things happen, and it just felt very natural, the progression from last record to this record.
I don't think you guys had much downtime between, the touring cycle for that and then starting work on Say Nothing, right?
No, it sucked. It sucked. Well, because they kind of actually pulled us off the road early. We were just like, man, we're gonna tour RX forever, and then it was like a year and a half after the album came out, or when we started touring, they're like, okay, get back in the studio. I was like, no. So it was very quick. It was kind of scary, but it worked out. I guess it really worked out.
Today, when you're in the studio playing for us, you were on the piano instead of the guitar, and I think I've been reading you've been writing a lot more on the piano lately. How do you think that's kind of affected the music that you're creating?
Well, I mean, our whole career, this hand has gotten so strong from shredding, and then now I got to use this hand. And I'm telling you, like today, I was like, it was all burning, and I was like, I'm not used to this. So now I'm just going to be able to have both hands and be like, yes. It did, yeah. I mean, it kind of everything is written on piano now. There's maybe a couple that are on guitar, but it just came from I think just kind of running dry on ideas on the guitar. We've been doing this a long time now. I mean, writing songs for 20 years, and yeah, you there's no more riffs to write. I don't know. I can't speak for the rest of the guys, but I kind of felt like as soon as I got to the piano, it just opened this whole new world of creativity and voicings, and I could play this chord, which I could play an A minor on the piano. Sounds way different than an A minor on the guitar, and I was just like, you know what?
The last thing you want, I think, is to start feeling stifled, as a band, and all of a sudden, I think the piano for us kind of opened everything up, and it made it so that we were just we were able to just be more experimental, and I think when you're 6 and 7 records into your career, it's like you don't really feel like you need to prove that you can write heavy music. Like we have a heavy record, and so we kind of have all this stuff. We've done all this stuff. I think for us now, we want it to keep being fresh, and we also want to keep challenging ourselves to do stuff that we think is scary and makes us nervous, and that's what makes it exciting to make new music.
Besides, working with the piano now and then writing there, what other things are you guys doing to kind of like, just try new stuff and work it out? Are you working with different effects? Are you, digging through vintage gear to find cool tones you never heard before, or anything like that?
We almost try to do like the opposite. It's like, what would we normally do? Okay, what's the opposite of that? That's how we started when we started making Wake Up Call. It was like, well, what would we normally do? Well, we'd grab a guitar and we'd layer 3 tracks of that. Okay, well, let's put the guitar away and what else can we do? Yeah. It's kind of like I say we become yes men in the fact that we're not afraid to try anything. We want to try something, and if we get a mellotron out and we play it and it sounds really awesome, it's like, well, cool. Well, let's figure out how to make that work later. When we play live, let's just give these songs what they need here.
Well, even Joe, like you were saying, like a lot of the drum stuff on this record was more. We focused a lot on rhythmic and stuff, and what was
percussive.
Going on there. Yeah, a lot more percussive stuff.
Work. It's a lot of tom work. Yeah, we brought that in. Changed the whole vibe, I think, of what we were doing. It created that more dark. vibe that the whole record was kind of. Yeah, but that I don't know that. I mean, I think some of it was kind of intentional when Tyler was making demos and stuff. But I think once we got into the studio, we brought it to the next level, and we were like, look, every song was like, let's put toms on it, and it just so we're just so excited
every
about
song
it.
was like, let's take cymbals out, let's put toms in, take cymbals out, put toms.
So it was cool. So we set up like toms and stuff in the big live room. Just mic'd everything up all over. I was just smashing toms the whole time. But it was awesome because we'd listen back and everybody's like, "That's awesome."
Sounds
So,
huge.
yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Does that involve in you like having to bring more gear on the road now for the tours?
No, I can still play everything. It's just it was just really a lot more fun in the studio for me for that.
It's more about the creative process, you look at the two things as like almost like different instruments. You're playing the drums, but then you get up there and do some percussive stuff. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, that's one of the things that I always wonder about, writing for music and then writing for a live performance is, when you have all this gear and stuff, that's available to you, do you go crazy and you want to use everything and then trying to kind of dilute that down into stuff that you can actually bring on the road without having like 3 semis behind you for
Right.
the whole run,
It's funny.
It's got to be difficult.
I feel like for us now, it's actually less. I mean, we put less stuff into each song, and it's. We kind of play acoustic, and everything is getting covered almost. So I definitely feel like, playing these songs live won't be too difficult a transition for us.
Speaking of live, you guys do have a winter run coming up here, just in time for the record to come out, and you're touring the Great White North, your
Yes.
homeland
Yes.
of beautiful Canada. So
Middle of winter, it's perfect timing.
yeah, I was saying, winter tours are probably really fun in Canada. How do you guys prepare for something like that?
You don't. Hey, that's it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Cover your face. Don't get frostbite.
Playing outdoor arenas the whole time.
Yeah.
My mom who lives in Edmonton, she sent me a photo, and it was this, and all you can see was her eyes. And she texted me, and she's like, -49.
Oh,
And I'm like,
Here we come.
see you in a month, Mom.
it'd be the same.
Yeah. So we, on our upcoming tour, I think the spring tour in the United States,
I think Canada too.
and Canada as well, we've teamed up, partnered with this thing called Plus One. So every dollar from a ticket goes to the charity of our choice, which we still haven't figured out what it is, but it's going to have something to do with domestic violence. I think it's going to focus on that. So that's good. That's what we always try to do something. We have pins that we sell, and all that money is going to do. We've done that for a long time. We did something with Habitat for Humanity, wristbands.
Yeah.
We've had pins as well with RX. That was shatterproof.
The
Yep.
pins go to the National Domestic Support Hotline.
That's right. So we're always trying to do stuff like that to raise some money, and so this is the first time we actually done something with the tickets.
Yeah, I'm excited.
is-
This
yeah.
Plus One thing seems like a no-brainer. I almost feel like we'll never stop doing it. It seems.
Yeah. I've already sold 1 million tickets, so
There's a lucky charity just waiting.
It could be you. Finally, one of the things that is an unfortunate reality of the business that we're in is there's always a very vocal subset of fans who are just never happy with anything new,
Right.
and they just want you to just make the old album over and over again. Do you guys even read those kind of things anymore? Does it affect you at all?
no.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
definitely doesn't affect.
It's going to happen. I mean, I was talking about this last night. I'm like, I'm sure there's a lot of fans out there are begging for Step Brothers too. And I would beg them to never make it, please, because it won't work, right? It'd be so bad. Or Talladega Nights 2. They made an Anchorman 2. Not great, right? Not as good.
I always try to remember that we were all music fans. We all grew up going to concerts, loving bands, wanting them to stay exactly the way that we fell in love with them. And then when they change, you're like, whatever now. But, I think that growing up and looking back now, I think about like Stone Temple Pilots as a great example of a band that really grew throughout their career. But for me, it was like Core and Purple were these records that really were like stamped in my memory as, with these special time and memories. And they could have tried to remake that record, but even the guy who wants them to remake that record will never be happy with it because it's not going to replace what became so important because of the time and the memories that were created when they fell in love with that music. So I try to think about it. It's like it's a lose-lose to try to appease those people because if you try, you're going to end up making the same record you made before. It's not going to be as good as that record was. It's not going to mean as much to them in the end anyway. So for us, I think it's just about looking forward, moving forward, and hoping that those people will still listen to it and find some love for it.
Well, I think we are definitely all richer for your efforts, and I love the way you guys write music. I love the storytelling that is encompassed in your songs, and it's one of the greatest strengths of this band. And I'm happy that you guys are pushing forward and trying new things and thinking dangerously, because it always makes for a great record. So I'm looking forward to it.
Appreciate that.
Say Nothing is out January 31st. Theory of a Deadman, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.